Alright, yo, what is going on, you guys? My name is Bubba, and welcome back to another insane story. But before I do get into the story, I just want to mention a quick announcement. I just want to say that since Christmas is coming up and we are leading up to Christmas, I'm going to be doing a Christmas advent calendar for the week leading up to Christmas. Basically, in my Discord server, we're going to have some crazy events from movie nights to game nights, and on top of that, crazy live streams that you guys can participate in, and where I will be telling more insane, crazy stories. Also, we will be doing giveaways for this week, so make sure you guys do join into the Discord server if you guys haven't already, and verify yourselves to get ready for this awesome Christmas event. So click the link down below in my description, and let's get straight into this crazy, insane story. All right, so I know you guys want the next part of this, and here's the last and final part. Basically, me and the lifeguard, where did it end up going? So afterwards, this date that I had with her, which was in the last episode, if you guys haven't seen the last two episodes, I highly advise you guys going to go check it out. Basically, I remember me and her, we basically decided to go home together that day, except I was gonna go to her place. Yes, she literally invited me to her place, as she was literally on duty being a lifeguard. Kind of insane, but at the same time, I mean, it's a win-win scenario for me, because you already know, boys, watching this video, that I was gonna go do the Devil's Tango. But before that, obviously, I made sure the boys got home, because I ended up driving two of my homies out there to go to the water slides that she was originally working at. But here's the thing that really got really weird. She literally had 4 more hours of work to do, and I was stuck at the water slides for 4 more hours. And if you guys don't know, this was a water park that was really well known here in Vancouver. And basically, I was gonna have to wait there until almost towards nighttime, because her shift ends at like 8 p.m. Which, I mean, that's not that late for some people. And since it was summer, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess. But I remember basically, as she was working, I went on water slides back to back to back to back. And I ended up getting a day pass anyway, so it's not like they were gonna kick me out. And I remember towards when the water slides were closing, I ended up leaving, drying out myself, and basically waiting in my car for her to come back. When I was waiting, I remember I was so bricked and excited. Like, it was unreal. Knowing that I was gonna go do the Devil's Tango with this girl was awesome. But then I remember I basically sat in my car, waited for her, and when she came out, I remember she went and instantly went to go talk to some guy. Now, at first, I was suspicious. I'm like, whoa, who is this guy, bro? Like, why are you talking to a guy when he's supposed to be coming home with me tonight? Like, what? But then I realized was that she just had like a little short conversation, pointed at my car, and then left. I have no idea why, but I guess she ended up just telling him that she didn't need a ride or something. That was my guess from there. And then afterwards, she ended up walking up to my car, putting her stuff in the back of my car, and then afterwards sat inside and said, okay, so how you doing? She ended up giving me a kiss, and basically we started making out of my car for a bit. And then afterwards she said, okay, we should really just head back to my place, because like, you know, I kind of like work here. And I ended up saying, oh yeah, like for sure, I'm down. So I ended up starting my car, and we ended up driving, and obviously it was still kind of bothering my mind who that guy was. So I ended up saying, yo, so I'm just curious, like, who was that guy you were talking to once you like got out, like, you know, the water slides? She ended up saying, oh, like, that's my coworker who usually just drives me home. He's a really nice guy, but I told him I didn't need him today. And I ended up saying, oh, okay, cool. One thing I found odd was that why didn't she say it earlier? But at the same time, they were at work, so I guess it makes sense. I don't know. But basically, I was driving this girl back to her place, and when I remember I put down her address on my GPS, and when I did, I realized that she lived in an apartment. Now, if she had like family at home, there was no way she was gonna sneak me into an apartment, and there was no way I was gonna jump like 40 floors if I'm gonna have to escape or something, because obviously the typical exit for me would be out the window usually, or the back door, or, you know, even the basement door. Sorry, I sound like a real serial killer here, but you guys know what I mean. Like, I had an exit basically for every time I needed to get out of something. But in an apartment, well, as a person who lives in an apartment right now, it's almost impossible to escape from. But anyways, as I was thinking of an escape route and stuff, I basically told her, yo, so like, you don't have any family home? She ended up looking at me saying, what? Family at home? No. Why would I have family at home? And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, like, why would you? It's not like people have families. Like, what? Family? Nah. Yeah, I was being sarcastic, but I guess she didn't really tag on. And then I ended up going to her place, and I ended up parking my car under a parking garage. And let's just say from there, yeah, I basically ended up going up the stairs with her, taking the elevator, and we ended up going into her place. I remember when we entered her apartment, I looked around, and it looked like that she was the only one living there. Like, there was a couch, a TV, there wasn't like any family photos, nothing. Then I ended up looking at her saying, yo, so like, do you live here by yourself? She ended up looking at me saying, oh yeah, like, I'm here for like school. So in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, it's a foreign exchange student. But she wasn't foreign. She was born here is what she told me. So I was so confused. And then afterwards, I was like, like, wait, so like, where are your family? She ended up saying how like she moved out of her parents' house and stuff because she was getting too old to live with her parents. And I'm like, wait, what? How old are you? And then she ended up telling me, and I'm not joking when I say this, she ended up telling me she was 22. Guys, I was 16 and she was 22 and I am entering her house. It was really random in a quick turn of events, but I didn't say anything. I didn't feel like I should say anything because I didn't want anything to go wrong. So I remember me and her, we ended up sitting on the couch, and then afterwards, I remember she basically looked at me saying, oh, like, we still like have like a lot of chlorine on us. Do you want to like take a shower together? Sure, is what I said. So afterwards, I remember I basically ended up going to this girl's bedroom, and when I went to her bedroom, I saw something suspicious. And I wish I didn't do anything at this moment, but I did. Knowing me, I was back in high school. I was a dumb kid. But basically, I remember I looked around and I legit saw guys' clothing, like a clothing for a guy's closet in that apartment. At this point, I knew this girl definitely has some guy. There's no way she does not have a boyfriend. So I remember I basically looked at her and said, oh, is this like your stuff? And then she ended up saying some dumb excuse saying, oh, like that's my dad's. Like he sometimes leaves his clothes over. Okay, sure. So me and this girl, we ended up going to the shower, and yes, we did shower together, and we did end up doing the devil's tango. It was super fun and super exciting, and honestly, don't get me wrong, I did what I had to do. Like my stamina was going crazy that night. But then afterwards was where the really bad part was, because I remember after the shower, we ended up going out. We ended up going to the living room, watching a movie, and we were cuddling. But as we were, I remember out of nowhere, there was a guy who just enters the apartment randomly and starts saying, oh, what's going on? I remember I look around and I'm like, oh shoot, something tells me that's not her dad. And afterwards, I remember this lifeguard gets up and says, what are you doing here? Like you weren't supposed to be back for like another like couple days. I remember they ended up like looking at each other and start arguing, and the guy looks at me saying, so who are you, huh? I ended up telling him how I basically like just came down because she invited me down, and basically said I was a friend, even though he literally saw me and her basically cuddling in the couch. Like there was no way to explain it. Like if this guy was dumb, then maybe I could have gotten away with it. But basically he started looking at me, he started yelling at me, then he started yelling at his girl, and one thing led to another. It was her boyfriend. So I basically said, you know what? I don't need to be here for this. And I basically ended up getting my stuff and ended up leaving. But then as I was leaving, I remember this guy was like, yo, real quick, show me some ID. What is what I said? I said, you want me to give you my ID? The girl's like, oh, like don't listen to him. He's just being dumb. And he's like, no, give me your ID. So I remember I ended up pulling out my school pass. Yeah, not the smartest moment. And then afterwards, when I pulled out my school pass, the guy looks at me saying, dude, you're in high school? The girl ended up looking at me saying, what? You're in high school? And I ended up basically saying, yeah, I'm 16. And then basically I got in so deep trouble because this girl was freaking out saying, oh my goodness, like I'm 22. Like you should have told me that earlier. Like what? And I ended up taking this main excuse that many people say, you didn't ask. And then afterwards I got my ID back. I ended up taking this guy's keys and basically went downstairs, got my car out and threw the keys out the window and basically dipped out of there because there was no way I was gonna stay there any longer. Like I already did my devil's tango. Like I'm just there to leave at this point. So I ended up leaving, and let's just say I never turned back around because there was no way I was gonna contact her again. I unadded her on Snapchat even though she blocked me earlier. And yeah, let's just say one thing led to another. I ended up going home telling the boys what happened, and they ended up laughing their butts off. Anyways, guys, leave a like and subscribe, and like I always say, for more embarrassing stories, peace out, guys.